Hi everyone, welcome to Under Thunder Mountain. It's Thursday's live stream chat with Dr.Kat. Thanks for stopping in. Well, meow. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for your heartfelt condolences for my two boys. Shiva had passed away just a couple of months earlier, and his brother Merlin, as you know, due to the change of the show last week, he had passed. But he had a beautiful passing, and there's some Reiki work that I had performed on him. It's available on YouTube, and I also showed a little video to everyone as well. So thank you so much. You know, the memories, you know, when we think about history, as we've been talking about, and love, they're so connected, right? They came into my life just a couple months after my mother joined my father in heaven. And they've been with me for 17 years through everything. Such beautiful companions. And so I thought, playfully, I would put on some kitty ears in honor of their the joy that they brought to me through thick and thin. So beautiful, beautiful times. So thank you again, everyone, for, as I said, just being there and understanding and sending me a little message. Very appreciated. It's been so much time. We talk about time. We've talked about it over the time that we've been together, how it is so relative to where one is in the universe. And I even mentioned how time moves differently, higher altitudes, lower altitudes, faster and slower. Time is an interesting construct indeed. The more we have in the earthly time, the more time we have to explore time. Oh, yeah, so listen. Here's a little tidbit. Stars. Stars, we think of time. You know, we can see the stars. We see their light. But the truth is, their life died long ago, you know. It's so interesting, this time. So fascinating. So I'm taking a little slower today, as there's been quite a bit of things that have accumulated over the week. And as we do have this Taurus full moon, my goodness, what a moon it is. Are you full yet? Are you sure? Be careful where you deposit your fullness. Remember always to keep readjusting your balance. The interesting thing about the Taurus full moon is that it tends towards being more of the immediate and the immediate and the sensual. Wants what it wants, when it wants. Think of a bull sometimes in a china shop. Not the most delicate of maneuvers. And we still have Venus in retrograde. So we have this huge, beautiful moon that's shining brightly. We have the light of the stars from the distant shining upon us. We have Venus, the planet of love and light, having gone retro. Always taking that time to tap into that. I know, you know, there's a big controversy because here at Under Thunder Mountain we are going to stay fresh and relevant. We're going to talk about topics sometimes that, you know, may not be the most popular, but they're the topic du jour, so to speak. And you know, we have this construct where we've been working with the dualities between light and dark, and languaging and where our words come from, and not just the linguistic origin of the word, but the application and the fluidity that we can use to reimagine ourselves and our languaging. So, there's the nationalist concept and then the globalist concept. And I like to explore the cosmic concept, which is we're all cosmically connected. And it's not so much the me as it is, as I said, flipping the M around is the we. And we're here in our different orientations starting to experience each other closer than we've ever in the history of humankind. It's a fabulous time. I mean, just think of how cool that is. And yet it's being restrained, and we're having to experience the dark side of it as it's coming into its, what would you say? Reminds me of like a teenager, kind of like it's getting its own sense of independence and what it can do, and it goes off and it's doing things. So balance with our technology, not just eliminating the availability that we have to communicate with one another. And Mercury's going to be coming direct very shortly. I'm not an astrologer. I'm learning so much and incorporating it in. As I said, I'm finding more and more that the greater the knowledge is around everything beyond what we have here on our material, and we realize that everything's energy, the more we're able to evolve, or as a construct that's been created in this universe. And so again, as I say, it's the rarest time in history of humanity where we've had an availability to speak to one another across, my goodness, time zones, right? Okay, let me lean in. I'm giving everyone a little wave and a tag. Thanks for coming in, everyone. Love seeing you. And then, as I said, Venus being retrograde. And with that happening, it's very clearly that we're going to be watching out for our energies. We are the controllers of our own portal, and where we plug our energy in and where we pour our energy out. Being aware of that right now, in having set up our grids, as we've been doing over the course of the live chats, now would be the time where the intentions that were set and put and wrapped up in the paper with the words that you had put on the crystal underneath in your sacred space, you can begin to realize that 2 days after that moon, what we have right now starts to dump out the emptying part of its phase. 2 days after, go ahead and take out that paper and see what's going on with the intention set, and see how it feels. And it could be that it's just the beginning of a relationship that you're having now with the crystal. So take the time, as you would in any relationship, to get to know the individual, just as you're getting to know the crystal. Taking our time. It's Halloween next week, so I put my cat ears on in honor of Halloween, as well as Merlin and Shiva. And I can't believe that it's almost November. The air is so fresh and clean. Here in New England, it's not as colorful as it's been in the past, but it certainly is a beautiful day. And we're supposed to have what's called a nor'easter coming up this weekend already. And snow has been landing in different parts of the nation too. So have a safe Halloween. I won't see you until the day after Halloween. I figured I'd say something about it now. Have fun. And then the other aspect on the topic for today is that all the other live streams that I did for the month of October, I didn't really address Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it is the end of the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I always like to take a moment to chat about that a little bit. You know, I have my pink flamingo. I've posted pictures of it on the Instagrams, and you know, for everyone as a sense of, you know, I was sitting in a doctor's office for some dental work. Thank goddess I've been able to get some of that now. And the woman that was sitting next to me was very approachable, and I had a magazine that was covered with pink, and you know, $200 for this pink perfume, and you know, et cetera, you know, this lotion and this ring. And I was looking at all the money, and I asked her, what do you think? I said, do you think that, how much of this money do you think actually gets to the people that are like needing that money? And her answer was she just didn't think that any of it goes, and that's why she's not a part of it. It was just very interesting and a very quick answer. But I thought, well, isn't it interesting, when I was a young girl, go back, meow, sorry. When I was a young girl, I had, you know, some animals in a barn, and but you know, no matter how much you tried to clean, the barn would always get dirty. So we did what was called whitewashing, and you take a brush and you just cover it all up with white paint, and it was all cleaned, right? Except the thing is that it wasn't clean, because everything that was underneath it was just covered up. Pink washing, you know, how much are we actually doing in the industry? I know that there's a lot of money out there. I know there are a lot of races. I know there's a lot of research out there. I know that we're making strides. There was a time before the 1940s in history where if someone was considered to have cancer, well, it was thought of to be a mental disease, and the research at that time had suggested that the individuals had repressed personalities, or there was something that was psychologically and emotionally off with the individual, and thus they were all with that particular disease. So they had a center that they would send them to, so that they could get, like, kind of rethink their thoughts, and therefore think their cancer away. 90% of the people died, right? Because it isn't just a thought. We're integrative beings, and we're body, we're mind, we're soul, and we're spirit. We're not just our thoughts, right? Heavens. I mean, our thoughts are powerful, but, you know, we have so much more. We could have no food, and we could keep thinking that we're going to not starve, but if you're living in a place where there's no food and you're starving slowly to death, you could think it all you want, but eventually you're going to starve to death until you get some food. So there's that reality that, you know, it's kind of something to watch out for. Certainly it's the dark side of the art in the alternatives, you know, that, you know, it's not just your thought. There's so much more than that with this and any disease, because everything's so related to what I believe is our immune system, and the 27 feet that lives inside of our body that we've been nurturing and growing since we were in the womb, and that comprise of who we are in terms of our digestive capacities, but also our ability to fight anything that comes into microorganistically or whatever into our bodies, so that they have the ability to fight that. But if a body is broken down, one stage of cancer. Okay, let's do what we found now in the 1940s. Well, 1940s we found chemo, and we found radiation, and we found pharmaceutical drugs that we could not have the individuals die. 90% of them died because they couldn't think the cancer away. And it became a very wonderful, powerful, hope-filled way for people to at least prolong their life and possibly live, or at least get to have a sense of being with their family or whatever at that time. I'm going back 1940s to, prolong your life a little bit. But that has grown, and it has grown against even having information regarding alternatives. And now we are being more and more aware of the power of the alternative, not specifically, I would say, to tell people to go and do everything alternatively, but certainly to be able to complement your traditional care with alternative options is to the benefit of the human. Period. Now the difficulty is that it's not as commonly available, and it's not as commonly subsidized. Okay, so those two factors, I believe, are growing, and I remain hopeful, as I hope you do too. And if you have someone that you love or someone that you know who's going through cancer, breast cancer, especially this month, realize that there are these other options that can help to support the journey, and in some ways can counter, in a positive way, the detrimental effects caused by the traditional medicines that we found to save the lives of the people that were dying because they couldn't think their cancer away. It's expensive. Even the drugs are expensive. They have, someone was saying, they have a treatment and, there's a copay. So it's challenging. It's a challenging time. I would like us to be able to be more aware of where we're putting the money and how that money is being used. And that's hard for us to ever find. Try to see that in your local area so that you can feel comfortable about where you're making your donations. And remember to encourage the people that you know to take in the new knowledge regarding alternatives, as they are very effective and in some cases can even help a person live a longer life and in a healthier way. Okay, even if we're all dying ultimately, right? But it depends on how much the body, the mind, or the spirit has been under attack. And for many, many, many who have gone through this cancer journey, it's not just one round. They get one type of cancer, and then they're given the drugs, which then the cancer cells, which live in everyone's body, everyone has these particular little cells, they dive in deeper to the body so that they're less detectable. And they may grow over a longer period of time. And so, there's always this benefit-risk ratio that's done through the big industries that control the medical field. So, it's the benefit-risk of 5 years versus 0 years or whatever. But of course, as individuals, as human beings, we want to be able to live our life as full as we can, for as long as we can, as healthy as we can, and be around the people that we love and the things that we love to do, and be able to participate in the evolution of humanity. Everyone has a dream. So keep positive, keep being the change that you want to see. I encourage whatever we're doing right now, we have to remember to keep reminding ourselves we are able, and we are the ones who are the change. And we are the change. And through our portals of communication, where we're able to communicate with one another and share information, we're able to create change. So all of that's happening at the full moon that we're talking about here with the Taurus. And we know that when we look out at the light, I'm looking right now towards a window. Ruby is taking a nap underneath the window. As we look out towards the light, we can see that, you know, there's so much more than what we think we know. We're able to recognize that. I think that it's a wonderful time, as I've said, as we've started to evolve more, we're able to speak up. I think we're encouraged, and I would ask you, do you find that when someone else is able to speak up a truth that you feel within yourself, that it empowers you to be able to speak your truth as well? I believe that that is true. I think that as human beings, we are designed to be able to not be an isolated island, but that we are designed to be interconnected. And it is indeed in our interconnection where we can be the most creative and constructive in our lives. There's no man, no woman is an island. Speak out, live up to the responsibility as a citizen to speak. Our chakra, a little picture, bring it in. Bringing it in. Our chakras, you know me, I always like to make the little pictures. Throat, our ability to speak our truth without inflicting harm upon another, with intention, but to be able to speak our truth and be able to communicate with one another through an emotional intelligence, as well as you know, what our gut says and what research says. We have now a clear vision because we're watching what's going on around us, and we're going, oh my God, can you believe that they did that? Or can you believe that he said that on Twitter? Or you know, we're able to see just as much from the perspective of when we see an individual who stands up, and you know the person, and they got in front of the group and they spoke, and you go, well, gosh, you know, Jane was able to do it. I think I can do it too. And Jane encourages you, you'll be able to do it, right? And then you'll go, wow, that didn't feel as bad as I thought it was going to feel. I'm going to try it again. Okay? Just as much with that, we can look at something that's happening and go, wow, can you believe that Jane had done that? Well, I don't want to ever be doing that. I don't want to do that, and I don't really feel that. Yeah, we have company, and the windows are open because, as I said, it's a beautiful day outside. So, yeah. So just as much as we're looking at something positive that we want to emulate, we can look at something and go, wow, I can't believe that, you know, that's what we're doing. But it's giving us an ability to start to communicate that with one another. And in that ability that we have now starting to be able to communicate to one another, our throat chakra is opened. And because that's opened, it doesn't mean that it's opened in a controlled way. It just means it's open. And people are just randomly saying whatever they want to say sometimes. They don't really even care about what the intention is. It's just, I felt like saying it, so I did. Or, well, I didn't say that, and a denial after something's been said. So there's a lot of that's been opened up, the portal of communication. And as I said with, hush now, Oopsie, shh, no barky. I know, it's all exciting. You know, of course, his friend is no longer with him, so he's not so over watching and going, oh, I have to take care of my friend and lay with my friend. And so he's kind of like feeling his new position and going, well, I can bark and look at me. I'm a little dog. I thought I was a kitty cat. I'm sure he did. Oh yeah, so as I said with the Taurus bull, it's about the immediate sensual pleasure versus investing in the future. Okay, so that's a choice. You decide what you're, because the energy's there. You have to make your own decision of what it is that you want to do during this time. Taurus is very physical, and it's very sensual. It's very fixed, and its charge is negative, and its ruler is Venus. But Venus is retrograde. So there's probably going to be some kind of darker, materialistic, stubborn stuff out there, along with kind of just random acts of not really knowing what one person is doing and not really caring about the consequences. Okay. And once that passes, then there's another shift, and there can be a phase where, oh, I'm sorry I did that, or I didn't do that. We can see it happening as globally, right? Grounded, heavy, a gravity to situations, strong, bullheaded, and as I said, the bull in the china shop. All right, we talked about the breast cancer awareness material. I don't want to talk much more about that. I just say to everyone to really take care of your bodies, your minds, your hearts, your souls, your spirits. To know that there are survivors who have chosen alternatively and have had success, quite a bit of success with alternatives. And there's all different ways, and there's all different paths, because with the alternative, it is individualistic. It's not a standard of care. It's not a cut, poison, and burn. It's not, well, this particular person gets this particular based on this particular. It's more individualistic, and it can't be A applied to B. And it's getting in relationship with your beinghood. And in that relationship, that's where the healing happens. And there are all different people who are on the journey. You can check it all out on the Facebook streams, and we are becoming more and more interconnected. I know I have individuals who are part of my community that came into my Facebook world. So the more the merrier, I say. The more of us that are connecting and communicating with one another and being co-witnesses and co-creators of, I hope, is the future for the next generation. I believe it's our obligation as a human being to speak up when we have the ability to speak a truth that will set freedom for others and without doing harm. It's not about going and obliterating one thing and just saying, well, I'm not going to do any of that, and risking and taking a big risk. There are so many pathways that are available now. A person doesn't have to do that. There was a time, and many of us did, but there's so much supporting systems that are out there now. The only part, as I said, is that as the insurance companies begin to get their kind of control and able to work the way that they need to work because it's a larger system, then they'll take it over. They are already taking over a lot of it. Yeah, it's just a shame to think of the individuals who had worked so hard, who came even before me, way before me, who were doctors, and they tried different things, and they lost their practice. So that part is about forgiveness and ability to move on, but forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. We always want to remember. Memory is an important tool so that we can grow. Remembering and not forgetting allows for a lot of things. One, it allows that we don't repeat something that we don't want to repeat, and it allows for us to repeat something that we do want to repeat. Memory. It's an important function. And when we're thinking with our memory, our mind, and we're bringing that out into our world. We want to come through our heart. Our heart chakra is the balancing between, as I showed the photo of our 7 chakras, our heart is in the middle. There are 3 lower and 3 upper, and the heart is in the middle. The heart's in the middle because it's going to balance our upper and our lower, so that wherever we're coming from, whether it's from our sensual, family, procreative self, or whether it's coming from our spiritual, higher intellectual self, balanced through the heart, so that nothing is out of balance when one is interacting with other humans. That's not easy. Balance is a constant walking on a line, and depending or on a beam, or if you've got a car on the road, you've got to stay in balance. Got to stay in the line. You've got to stay where you need to stay. Balance is very important. When one becomes out of balance due to whatever choice or circumstances that came in, that forced the situation, which would be spirit, can come in and force a lot of situations to push a person out of balance so that they can take a look and move and readjust and make the changes necessary to achieve a desired result, reevaluate the course. Well, we were heading in this direction, but now we realize that that's not a good way to go. We want to change course sometimes. Changing course doesn't mean that you're not going to cross over at some point, but keeping focused keeps you from moving outside of the lines that you've created to stay and to achieve and to reach what you're trying to reach. And so every day when we get up, we check our compass and see if we're on course. How are we on course? If we're not on course, what am I going to do? What can I do to help to facilitate that change? That's the question you ask yourself. You go, what do I need to do? In prayer, ask God, Spirit, what is it that I need to do? And sometimes it's just wait. And for someone, that may be really challenging. They don't want to wait. They want to keep being a bull in a china shop. But we don't want you to do that. We want you to wait, because there's something that's coming around. And in the meantime, while you're waiting, do something else that's very creative and work on it. Work on something else. Work on what you're striving towards. And then when you've got that all there, then it will come around. Kind of, as they say, build it and they will come and have a cup of tea. This is honey and ginger root and green tea. Very delicious. Yummy, yummy. Okay, so if you're feeling that you don't have clarity and you're going, wait a second, she's saying a lot. She talks fast and she says a lot. First of all, you can keep playing it over and listen to it as many times as you want. I only talk fast because I'm probably putting a lot of material in probably what would be considered short clips that people would have made and used a segment of it and talked at length on that. But this is Facebook Live, and this is about, basically just having a chat with me. So as I'm formulating different ideas and writing them down, certainly I'll create a manuscript out of this, because it's a lot of notes that I'm going through. But I'm chatting with you, and I'm always hoping that you'll pop in and have a comment. So I'm going to come forward, as I've seen some little people coming up. And just make sure I get everyone in. Thanks, everyone, for stopping in. Perfect. Oh, so as I said, and glass is appropriate. If when we're waking up or when throughout the course of the day you're getting a sense that, geez, I'm feeling this energy and I'm thinking it was going to go this way, but everything's going that way, and take a moment and just clear the lens for clarity. And by clearing the lens, there'll be an opportunity to reflect a little bit. Now, you know, for me, the best way to really get a sense of what's going on is to take a moment, breathe and meditate, and just be silent and listen. And that doesn't work for everyone. Some people prefer to do walking meditations. Some people like to do their yoga as their meditation, and just do the silent movements. Some people like to listen to birds, or maybe even go out on the ocean, and that's the meditation. I think anytime that we come into silence and we're able to listen to the inner connector through the crown chakra that resonates through our whole being, because just like with everything, just like we all have cancer cells, we all have different cells within our body, we have a makeup that's been designed for us to have that connection. And we know it, even when we think that we don't have it. Something happens. There's a sign, there's a symbol, something happens. And we go, oh my God, that's right. You know, or a tear drops, and you feel the power of that universal love. It's beyond our understanding. We put it into books. We try as humans. We want to have all the answers. We want to have it all written down. We want to be able to. We want that. But there's some things that, you know, it's like it's not time yet. For you know, you can't have that yet. When you're ready, or something, you know. Throughout all of the live stream chats, the conversation is about love, and because we're talking about love and light, I have a Reiki master here with me right now, Beverly. Hi, Beverly Manzi. It's nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Beverly is a Reiki master within my community here in New England. We haven't had the opportunity to meet in person, but we have seen each other here in the world of our internets. But the heart is, you know, here. It's located in our left pectoral area, and we can have our heart become slowly over time. It can wear down. Reiki is really healing for lifting up that love and light within the body. Next week I'll do a little demonstration about our emotional field and how a lot of times we can pour it out, but then if we don't get it replenished. Reiki is beautiful for replenishing that part of our being. It's beautiful for everything. As you know, I'm a Reiki master, teacher, trainer myself, but it's so beautiful for when your emotional field has been damaged. Because what can happen is it can get hardened. You know, harden not our hearts, right? We want to keep vulnerable and soft and open. We only have, I don't want to be like, I always talk about time being always available for us, but in our physical world, we only really do have a limited amount of time. And in that limited amount of time, we forget it. It's like, just think if you were under a camera all the time, eventually you would, that's what reality TV is, right? You would forget that the camera was running, and then some of your things would be caught that you wouldn't have wanted to be seen on camera, right? So think about, you know, time, how limited it is, and it runs out. There's not a lot of time that we actually have in our physical space. And when we get busy with life, it's almost as if we're in that reality TV program and we forget about the time because we think we're going to have it. It's not going to run out. We forget about it. And then suddenly something happens that may bring us back into an awareness about time. And I'm not talking about forgetting about time because you're meditating. I'm talking about forgetting about time because you're forgetting that as a human being, interacting with other human beings and sharing love and not being always about the clock and about the bottom dollar, that's the time I'm talking about. It's like, I shouldn't say don't, but I'm inviting us during this Taurus moon time, which is a very materialistic desire for immediate sensual pleasure time, to take an opportunity to, as we're always talking about, look at the relationship that you have with money and your time and your work, and how balanced is that in relationship to the other aspects of life, so that life is balanced. Because when the time comes, and no man knows for whom the bell tolls, but it does toll for us all, when the time comes, one wants to be able to have all that within us. As we go on to another time, we can bring that with us. So they say you can't take it with you, but the essence, our essence, we bring with us. Our spirit, our soul is transported. Yeah, I know we can't take our money with us. You can't take that job. You can't take the car or the boat. You can't take that with you. You can pass it on for other people, but you can't bring it with you. So take a balanced look during the pull of the dark energy of immediate pleasures to reflect, clear the lens, and take a look at what is the relationship that you have individually with your money, your work, your sensual pleasures, one would say. How are you in relationship with that? Is that an immediate, and then there's no, or are you the type of person that invests towards a future? That's what's kind of the tenor of our time right now that we're in with the moon. So as I was saying, when we're doing all of this work, we want to reflect through the heart. And if you're struggling, find a local Reiki healer in your area. There are so many Reiki healers out there, and it will help with the heart, with energy blocks. It's going to help clear away some of the old energy patterns. For those of us who give Reiki, myself, we love the opportunity to be able to be blessed with that as our profession. It's such a gift to be in the position to be able to be a channel of that energy and to see how it manifests in people's lives in such a positive way. There's nothing like it. It's beautiful. And then there's also, when someone's going through a difficult physical time. Remember, we are emotional beings. We have an archaeology of our soul. So much of us has been programmed through even how we look for a match. What are we attracted to? Has been brought through our programming. I use that word, and I know some people don't like it because they don't think that, but it's the books that we read and the stories that we were told as our mind was forming, and what was acceptable and what was unacceptable and what was done within that family or not done, then formed the individual. And that takes time for all of us because we get caught in the grid of working and all the other aspects of life, and we don't have an opportunity to take a look at that. And it isn't oftentimes until later on in life that people have an opportunity to say, oh my goodness, when I reflect on my life, I see that I spent an awful lot of time on this to the detriment of that. Well, now you want to make up that time. You want to go and spend time with the other, if you can, or rebuild something new. The archaeology of the soul. Finding out what it is and who we are, not based on what we were told we were and who we are. You know, for many of us, we were told that you're supposed to have an apron on in the kitchen, doing dishes, singing a song, bringing a martini for the man when he comes home with the sneakers at the door. You know, that was the programming. See what I'm saying? And now that generation is still here with us. We're all here together. Well, that doesn't mean that the way that they're thinking is like suddenly evaporated. It takes time, and it takes an initiative and a desire to want to take a look and see, well, wait a second. And then the courage to take the leap and say, you know what, I'm going to try something. I've never done skateboarding before. Well, I'm going to try skateboarding now. And go out and do some skateboarding, or go swing on a swing, or do something that the body, mind, and spirit receives differently, because it's a different experience. And then it gets to click, 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 and make a new mindset of who you are and what, you know, you're capable of doing or not capable of doing at this time in who you are and developing as a human being. Take up a new language. That'll jazz up the brain really fast. Wanna keep the connectors connecting? Keep reading. Read Under Thunder Mountain. It's on Amazon ebooks. It's affordable and available. You know you want to read it. So, you know, just keep doing the things. Be creative. Grab hold of life. That's my biggest message for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and for all of us who are out there dealing with diseases and dealing in a world that, you know, at least we're not back in the 40s where they would say you're supposed to think the disease away. Although you have to watch out, there are some communities that still do think that. But it is a holistic sense of healing. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. Give yourself a break. Give somebody else a break. You know, break off a piece of some fun and try something different. It's Halloween, you know. Put on some bunny ears, or put on a little top hat.